You're listening to episode 117 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Dr. Shiroko Sokitch.
And then something would happen either to a patient that I saw in the ER or in my own body or somebody I knew like that made sense according to Chinese medicine and maybe didn't make as much sense in Western medicine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and welcome to Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we help you create an awesome life and lifestyle. From nutrition to fitness, mindfulness to peak performance, and relationships to money mindset, we bring you on an amazing journey to help you unleash your human potential. So here's a little bit about our guest today, Dr. Shiroko Sokitch. She's a medical doctor who actually cares about you. She's the owner of Heart to Heart Medical Center in Santa Rosa, California since 1993. Dr. Shiroko is an expert at using many modalities to bring your body to balance and wholeness. Her specialty is healing when it seems impossible. She brings hope and healing to difficult health conditions by blending Chinese and Western medicine with a deep spiritual and emotional healing approach. Trained in general surgery and working as an emergency room doctor for 10 years while attending acupuncture school gave Dr. Shiroko a broad range of medical expertise. Her new book, Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds, is a book about her unique and comprehensive healing approach, and it is now available on Amazon. So without further ado, let's dive right into the interview with Dr. Shiroko. Hey everyone, welcome again to Lifestyle Locker Radio. We have a great guest today. As you heard, she's an amazing doctor. She's on the West Coast. So I'm catching her actually early in the morning while we're doing this recording. She's getting ready to see some patients soon. So Dr. Shiroko, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm very excited to have you because you have a very unique practice. You know, myself being a chiropractor, being that we think a little, we'll say, differently in traditional medicine, and you have had this huge shift being that you were and are a traditional medical doctor, but you've also taken a huge step towards Eastern medicine, right? Chinese medicine, which is really neat, which I think is such a really cool twist on things. So tell us a little bit of your story, how you can go from traditional medical doctor and then shift to or towards where you became today, where you have this really neat center.
Well, it's a long story.
Yeah. Well, we could give us the abridged version. You know,
I'll give you the abridged version. So I've been in practice doing both Chinese and Western medicine for 25 years now. So it's been a shift that I did a long time ago. And I did it at a time when not very many people did. And it started really in my surgical residency. It started much before that, but the reason that I became a doctor is because I wanted to save lives. And the first time I got to save a life was in the emergency room as a third-year medical student when a patient was brought in who had a gunshot wound, and I was a third-year medical student, so I was sort of not essential in the ER, so they let me go down to the operating room and help save his life. And it was so thrilling and so exciting that I was just like, I've got to be a surgeon. And I did well in that rotation. It was an emergency room rotation at the county hospital in Seattle. And so the surgeons there and the chief of the ER all encouraged me and said, hey, yeah, go into surgery. And so it was kind of a last minute decision because originally I went to medical school wanting to be a family doctor.
Okay. Different twist, huh? Already.
A different twist, yeah. I was already headed in weird directions. And so then I went into the residency program and sort of in my second year of the residency program, I sort of began to have my first midlife crisis, I call it, because I began to question things. I had patients who were suffering that we weren't really helping, or I didn't feel like we were helping. And I had my own personal things that came up for me, and it just sort of began to sort of question what was I doing and what was happening. And in particular, there was one patient who kind of really brought this to the forefront for me because she was fairly young. She was in her early 40s, and she came in for something that was supposed to be a very simple procedure, that she had a cyst on her pancreas. And when we opened her up, it turned out to be a cancer on her pancreas that had grown large, and there was not at the time, because this is in the 80s,
Yeah.
a chance of resecting that tumor and saving her life. And so the operation lasted like 20 minutes. And after it was over, the surgeon told her kind of in a cold way, like, I'm sorry, but you're going to die. There's nothing we could do. And her story sort of unfolded before me. And I was a resident. I didn't really have any say in her management at the time. And I didn't really know how to handle, and what to offer her. And it really, like, those kind of stories just kept coming to my face, like I was working on the burn unit, and patients are in this huge amount of pain that really opiates don't help. They help a little bit. They kind of numb up the brain, but they don't really solve the physical pain that they're in. So I started questioning what I was doing and started wondering what was next, or what could I do that would help people even better. And of course, also asking myself, what was my life about, because I had achieved my lifelong goal of becoming a doctor. And here I was in surgical residency, and what did all that mean? So I'd started asking all these questions at age 27. And so I took a month off in my residency, and I had a dream that if I stayed in surgery, I would die. And
wow.
And it was kind of like
this
big, like a banner, And so I was like, oh, so I started to think about other things. And somebody gave me a book called The Web That Has No Weaver about Chinese medicine. I don't know why they gave it to me, but I started to read it. And I fell in love with the whole idea of energy and Chinese medicine and the science behind it, but also the idea that there was deeper levels of healing that people could have, and that would impact them on not just the physical levels, that were emotional and spiritual, and that all of these things went together in a way that was different than I had been taught so far.
Yeah.
And it made sense to me. And so I started to, I quit my residency. I went to work in the ER at the end of my second year, and I loved ER, so that was great. And I started to look into Chinese medicine, and I met a guy in my hospital who had just finished acupuncture school, and he was a respiratory therapist, so he was kind of Western, Eastern as well. Yeah. And so I just, I started to use him as a mentor, and I went to acupuncture school, and every semester that I was in school, I was also working in the ER. I would ask, what am I doing here? Why am I still in school? Why am I in school again? And then something would happen, either to a patient that I saw in the ER or in my own body, or somebody I knew that made sense according to Chinese medicine, and maybe didn't make as much sense in Western medicine. And so that there was this constant sort of questioning at the same time that I was being guided and shown that it was working. And so I finished acupuncture school, and then I had this dream to open Heart to Heart Medical Center, which is my business now. And I moved from Seattle to California, and the rest is kind of, here I am.
The rest is history, as we say.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So, modern medicine has been around for, 100 plus, maybe 200 years max,
yeah.
Say? And Chinese medicine is how many thousands of years old? So There's definitely a really neat way to look at it and see how those principles would still work today if they worked. They have been working for how many thousands of years?
Yeah.
All right. So with you blending, how are you able to start to blend the two and create this center? Is it were you seeing different types of results with patients when you were adding, the Eastern medicine, the Chinese medicine in?
Yes, and I mean, there's always been mystery in healthcare, right? Yeah. Always. And we talk about it a lot now because it's more and more prevalent that people have illnesses, and there are new symptoms that people develop, and we don't know why they have them. And the best of our science doesn't always have the answer. And so Chinese medicine has always been, for me, a way to look at people in a different format that allows me to understand what's going on in their bodies better. And And, I can still do the tests because I still use Western medicine, and I now practice, over the years I've studied functional medicine, and that's a great adjunct to Chinese medicine, because it's still looking at where is the imbalance and how can you best address what's going on with somebody. And really, I've always been fascinated by mysteries. I love mystery novels, and I love heroic stories and hero stories. So those kinds of things, they come into how I work with people. And it's like trying to understand what's going on with somebody. The Chinese medicine offers a set of tools that adds to what Western medicine offers. So that, to me, it's just a bigger box.
Yeah. So you gotta look a little deeper into the person versus just the physical aspect.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. So, and you actually, with your book, was it Healing When It Seems Impossible? What is it? 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. Can you describe what you go into this book? Because when healing seems impossible, I know that's a lot of people, a lot of society, especially in the U.S., where we've been beat down with, bad food and all of this stuff. Our bodies are breaking down faster than ever before. Maybe things are showing up that may have not showed up 50 years or 100 years ago. So what are you seeing, or what are you sharing in your book that's different than what we've seen?
Well, so many things.
Yeah.
And a part of it is, of course, my 25 years of being in practice here. And part of it is my own personal quest to be a stronger, better healer. Because when I first decided I wanted to be a doctor, I was 5, and my great-grandmother died in front of me. And that was kind of the impetus for me wanting to do what I do. But in the moment that I found out that she had died, because I didn't know what that meant, there was something else born in me. And what that was is this quest for miracles, this quest for
I like that.
the instant healing. And so I've always had that, it's like looking for what will make somebody better the quickest, what will make me better the quickest, how can I get to? So I've been on this lifelong quest. And so this book is really my life's work, because it's all about all those things. And the first key, there's 7 keys to defy the odds, and some of them are spiritual and emotional, and some of them are purely physical. But the first key is love. And part of that is that love is what I call your healing superpower. Because when you focus on love, and when everything that you do is around love and bringing more love, you heal better. You know what it feels like when you're in love. Every person, most adults have been in love at some point in their lives, and you know what that feels like. It's like magic, life is great. But what if you felt that way all the time? And what if your body were infused with that energy?
Yeah.
All the time. Because I have a patient who, like a year ago or 2 years ago, met a guy and she fell in love. She's in her 60s and she's diabetic and has all kinds of health problems. Right. As soon as she fell in love, she felt different. Yeah. A lot of her health problems went away. A lot of her symptoms went away. And that's sort of external love, but there's also internal love. And there's the love relationship that you can have with your practitioner, and there's the love of taking the medicine. But there's so many ways that love can help you with healing. So that's the first key, because it's kind of the introduction to, this is the healing force of the universe.
Yeah.
And then the second key is physical balance. And this is where Chinese and Western medicine come together in what I call my triangle of wellness. And that is that no matter what you have, no matter what health condition you have, there are sort of 3 elements. And this is years of my experience and research and work that I've done. 3 elements that, if they function, will help you recover from anything. And that is your hormones, your immune system, and your nervous system. And those are big systems. But if you get that triangle, I call it the triangle of wellness. If you get that functioning, no matter what else you have, your body will function better.
Okay. That sounds good. That sounds very fair. I can't imagine a nervous system alone without healthy function, right?
Right.
So.
And whenever you have something chronic, all those systems fail.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in Western medicine and even in my practice as an acupuncturist, sometimes, we'll focus on one thing. Like, somebody has knee pain, or they have, digestive problems, and we'll focus on trying to fix that. But it's this that will allow that to come back together.
Yeah, like the umbrella.
The umbrella. Yeah. So So there's that, and there's other elements to that as well. And then the third key is finding your own unique lifestyle. And there's 1,000 diets or millions of diets actually, and
of course.
a million ways to exercise. And so what is the right way for you as an individual? And I give all the keys for how to do that in the book.
Good.
And that pairs with learning to listen to your body. So the third and the fourth key kind of dance with one another because as you try certain things in your lifestyle, you'll experience the listening experience of how your body works. And what I love about my chapter on learning to listen to your body is the Chinese medicine element, because in Chinese medicine, every organ has specific functions, specific ways that it works and ways that the energy moves. And those are keys for you to understand your own body. Like, for example, the kidneys rule your low back and your knees. So if your low back hurts or your knees hurt, then your kidneys might be out of balance. So that's a way to learn to listen to your own body. Yeah. And it's all because how the organs work in Chinese medicine is different than how they work in Western medicine.
Yes.
So all of the ways that they work are keys for you to understand what's happening to yourself. Like for women, the liver rules the smooth flow of energy, well, for everybody, but the liver rules the smooth flow of energy in your whole body. So like tension in your neck and shoulders is liver imbalance, but also it regulates the menstrual cycles. So any problem with the menstrual cycles is connected to liver imbalance.
Okay. So it's a roadmap, almost,
it's a roadmap
if you will,
for listening to your body. Yes. So that whole chapter has all of that information, which is really fun. And then the fifth key is the emotions. And again, each organ system has emotional and spiritual functions that we do not have in Western in medicine. But they make sense when you start to talk to a person. And when I start to explain things to that person, like they begin to understand themselves. And anytime you have a difficult health problem, there's an emotional component to it. And so that chapter is about how to deal with that.
That's really... I'm just going to cut you off for 1 second. We have a family member that's just had a pretty major surgery for a cancerous tumor, and I think that emotional component is got to be so huge, so huge. And I think I'm going to be forwarding your book over, once we're done with this call right away to them, because I think they're so entrenched in Western medicine, and they haven't opened their eyes to the other possibilities in healing.
Anytime you have a difficult problem, you need both. It's called I call it holistic medicine, but because it's whole, it's like you need Western medicine sometimes, but you also need that integrative approach when you have a difficult problem. There's more to healing than meets the eye.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
Yeah. So the sixth key is one of my favorites. I love them all, of course, but the sixth key is about your heroic healing journey. And actually in the intro to the book, I talk about being a hero in your own health. We think about heroes as people who engage in the outer world and have a mission and have a quest. And finding health isn't naturally thought of as being a hero, but it is. And and often when you have a difficult healing quest, you need a team, you need people to come along with you on the journey. Sometimes it looks impossible, so that chapter is called Patience and Persistence and Never Give Up. Never give up on wanting to get well. And to keep looking, because, and somebody suggested to me that should be the first part of the book, but really it comes further down the road, because when you've faced challenges and you've gone through difficult times, that becomes a question. Should I keep going? Should I keep trying? And so I put it back in that part, because it's like, that's an essential thing, to keep going and to find your heroic team to get yourself going. And then the last key is that spiritual part of the journey, which is that trusting the process. So even when it looks like you're failing, even when things are so difficult that it looks like you're not going to get where you want to go, trust that there's even a reason for that. And to find that faith in your healing journey itself, and I have a lot of patients who've been through many doctors, many different things, and feel frustrated by that whole thing. But that is also a part of the healing journey that they're going through. And you never know where you're going to end up when you get to the end of that journey, or if you get to the end of that journey, because a journey doesn't always end. Your
Yes.
life is this ongoing thing. But when that symptom goes away, or when that health issue that you've been challenged with starts to change, then a new thing will come along for you to grow with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like I was taught this by one of my mentors. Happiness is an uphill grind, if you will, and I think that's so true in health also.
Yeah.
That the times that you eventually, I don't want to say give up on your health, but you don't pay attention to it, is the times it runs away. And we neglect it, it goes, type of thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, with your book, with how to defy the odds, do people have to wait to actually have a condition to actually apply these?
No, of course not.
Of course, and I think that's important. But I think in modern society, we, as doctors, we see that people take action the most when they've let things get so far. They have to have this life-altering condition, disease, whatever it may be, but they go, okay, now I'm all in. I personally would love to urge, I'm sure people can take these steps before there's a problem, so they eventually probably won't have to have the problems, right?
Right. Yeah. They always tell you when you're working on a project to focus on a particular audience, but of course, whoever is drawn to read the book, of course I want them to read it. And it has things for everybody, really, because health and aliveness, because the whole purpose of my work is not just to help people get over some illness, but to help people achieve that vibrant health and their purpose in life, because ultimately you want to live your purpose, and you want to enjoy your life, and you want to have fun, and you want to do things that are thrilling and exciting and challenging. You don't want to just kind of drudge along in your life.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you did name your center the Heart to Heart Medical Center, so it's not, it's a very human center, and people that are, I'm sure, searching for you and finding you also for acupuncture may be using that as in a form of wellness to maintain and dive deeper into their health and longevity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if I were to ask you, if there were three things that you would tell, you had to tell any human being on the planet to help them improve their health and longevity, what would it be?
Three things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot.
The first one is love. So anytime that you feel like, if you feel your health declining, or you feel like you have a health issue, a lot of people get angry at their bodies. And so then you start to go, you feel betrayed, and you feel angry, and you feel frustrated. And what I want to encourage is the opposite, is to love your body, and to ask it, what is it wanting? Because your body's not stupid. In fact, your body is brilliantly designed by the divine and by nature to be is amazing. And, like, I've spent my whole life studying the body, and I'm still fascinated every single day by what it does. And if you approach your health from a place of love, then you love your body, and you feel its appreciation for it, then it begins to be a different thing. Then, I have a patient who is actually going to have a radiation procedure because she has a little tumor on the nerve to her ear. And I was talking to her about it yesterday, because she was like, I'm going to kill that tumor. I'm mad at that tumor. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That tumor grew from your nerve. And you love your nerve, and you want your hearing. So you don't want that tumor to die. You want that tumor to be transformed into healthy nerve cells, because that's where it came from. Right? And so if you love your nerve, that's a different approach. And it changed her whole perspective on the whole thing, right? It's like, oh my God, wow, yes, I want my nerve. I want my ear to work. And so, so it's just sometimes slight change in perspective, but to think about what your body's doing is for a reason. Therefore, you want to love it and ask the reason and try to understand it better.
Yeah. So it's a mind shift. The love,
Mind
and big
shift.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And then the second thing is much more mundane. Is to really, like, in terms of learning to listen to your body, just to take one thing that you know already, like, or to experiment with one thing. And it's for a lot of people who already struggle with their adrenals and who tend to be tired throughout the day, to start with breakfast, and to make sure that breakfast is a high protein meal that's not full of sugar and caffeine. Like, to start that, because that's a simple thing to do, and it's an experiment. You can try it for a week and see if by eating protein in the morning rather than having coffee and a muffin or a bowl of cereal for a kid, is going to make them feel better throughout the day. Simple thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. That's huge. I mean, I've not had sugar for breakfast. I don't have any years now, and it's the day we changed our eating habits, night and day energy difference, night and day.
Yeah, yeah. And I know there's a lot of intermittent fasting going on.
Mm-hmm.
People are not eating now for a long time, but I still encourage people to start with their first meal as being high protein, and to see how that makes them feel. And then the third is really to think about yourself as the hero of your own life. And that whatever you're challenged with and whatever quest you are on, because it can be a health quest or it can be a personal quest, or it can be a challenge of some sort, but we all need challenges and we all need to push ourselves. And in some way, so that you push yourself to be more healthy, or you can push yourself to be more successful in something, but to think of it as a hero's journey, to find your team, to bring yourself together, and to, like, get out there and do what it is that you need to do to get well. So those are my three.
Awesome. I love those three. Love it. Love is huge, and I like being your hero. So can you tell me, you have such a unique, really neat practice. You're constantly studying. I wouldn't be surprised if you're learning something new now.
Always, yes.
What does, like, the next 5 years look like? Is the Heart to Heart Medical Center something different? Is it the same? Is it evolve? What do you see happening?
Well, I, of course, want to keep helping people. So it'll still be here, and hopefully I'll get other people who want to work here too. And it's evolved over the 25 years that I've been in practice, because I've had various practitioners here and had phases where I work alone and phases where I work with other practitioners. And I want to build it again to have more practitioners here who participate in helping people get well in this way. And then, of course, I want to reach more people to help them with that healing when it seems impossible. So that's the purpose of writing this book, is to help more people, even when they can't come to my practice, to reach them in whatever way I can to get that message out there. That's
great. So I want to let everybody know that Dr. Shiroko is doing something very nice. She's giving everybody a gift. It's a workbook for healing when it seems impossible. And I want to make sure you head over to hearthealthmedicalcenter.com/book. This will be in the show notes, because if you dive into this type of work before there's a problem, or even if you have a problem, I think this is a way for you to have that jump start on living longer, living happier, living healthier, feeling loved, and giving yourself that self-love, because life is short. A friend, Dave Asprey, says, he's going to live to 180 years old, which is crazy. But the reality is people are living longer than they have ever before. So let's focus on getting there healthy. So Dr. Shiroko, I want to thank you so much for getting up early to get on this call. And I think the audience is going to absolutely love you.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's fun talking to you.
Hey, Locker Nation. Thank you so much for listening to that amazing episode with Dr. Shiroko. Make sure you head over to lifestylelocker.com/heart to heart. And again, lifestylelocker.com/heart to heart. You get all the details. You get her free gift there. Everything you need in every way you may want to connect with Dr. Shiroko, whether in person in her practice or online or through her books. There's a great quote that the developer of chiropractor said, His name is BJ Palmer, but he said this: "You never know how far-reaching something you may think, say, or do will affect the lives of millions tomorrow." And I think Dr. Shiroko is doing that by sharing her amazing book with the world. So, Dr. Shiroko, I want to thank you. Everybody else, thank you so much. Have a great day, evening, or night, wherever you are and whenever you are listening. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.